Hi, my name is Martin and I'm from NBC Holdings. For those of you that are not aware, NBC is actually the administrator of your Provident Fund. Today, within this short video, we're going to talk about your Provident Fund, talk about the benefits that you have on the fund, as well as touching on the home loan facility, as well as the distribution of your death benefits. For starters, I think it's very important that we understand what a Provident Fund is. Our National Brands Provident Fund is governed by the Pension Funds Act, and it happens to be a savings for retirement. In other words, when we talk about a defined contribution, what we mean is that what you get at retirement is determined according to the Pension Funds Act. It's determined within the rules of the fund. What we get at retirement is basically what we've put in and what the employer has put in. But as we go ahead with the video, you will get a clearer indication of what we're talking about. Like most retirement funds within the country, our Provident Fund is governed by the Pension Funds Act. The Pension Fund Act requires us to have a board of trustees. The board of trustees is responsible in running the Provident Fund. Within our National Brands Provident Fund, we've got 8 trustees, 4 from the employer side and 4 from the employee side. From the member side, we've got Mr. Nicholas Maepa, Mcekeleni Dikeli, Edward Biase, Dick Kumala. From the employer side, we would have Helian Strip, Otto Bechman, Linde Lwankitseng, Keith Phillips. Like every other Provident Fund, we would need to have a principal officer. And the principal officer of the National Brands Provident Fund is Debbie Moss. And the chairperson of the fund is Keith Phillips. One of the responsibilities that your trustees on your Provident Fund have is the appointment of service providers. The service providers that we have on the fund are your consultants, your auditors, your banker, where you would actually have to place the money in the Provident Fund, your underwriter, as well as your investment advisors. All these people get to work very closely with your trustees to ensure the smooth running of your fund. We described a Provident Fund as a savings for retirement. Now, where does the money come from? I'm sure we realize every month that there is a certain deduction that comes from our payslips. And there's a certain contribution as well that is also made from the employer side. The employer of this particular fund actually contributes 11% for retirement. The employees, that is us, we contribute 7.5%. But not all this money goes into the retirement pot. From the employer's side, out of that 11%, you'd find that there's a certain amount that goes towards paying for the expenses for running the fund. These would include your risk benefits, which are your group life benefit, your personal health insurance, which is your disability benefit, as well as your funeral benefit. Your group life benefit, which is your death benefit, pays from 2 times your annual salary plus your fund credit. So in other words, if you pass away today and you're earning 100,000 rands per month, per year, they'll say 100,000 rands times 2 plus whatever it is that you'd have saved within your retirement pot. Over and above that, you've got your personal health insurance, which is your disability benefit. If you're unfortunate and you get disabled, it could be from illness, or you could get an injury that would make you permanently disabled. They'll start paying you 75% of your salary up until you get to your retirement age. So in other words, if let's say you were earning 1,000 rands per month and you get disabled, they'll start paying you 750 rands from the time you get disabled, well, with a 6 months waiting period, up until your retirement age. When you get to your retirement age, you retire just like a normal individual, and you still get to access all the money that you had saved within your retirement pot. You also have a funeral benefit on the fund. Member and spouse will be covered for 8,000 rands. Children between the age of 14 and 21, 8,000 rands. 6 and 13, 5,000 rands. 1 to 5, 3,500 rands. 0 to 12, 2,000 rands. And for stillborns, 1,000 rands. Your Provident Fund also has what we call a home loan facility. It's a facility that was recently introduced by NBC to ensure that all the members that cannot manage to access any loans can at least manage to build their homes and use their Provident Fund as security. I'm sure we've all heard about the National Credit Act. And the National Credit Act actually mentions that for one to actually take out a loan, there needs to be some checks done. You need to figure out how much a particular individual earns, what their financial responsibilities are, and a couple of credit checks are actually done prior to issuing out the loan. The home loan facility also needs to undergo through the same process. Though most of us think that the money that we get from the home loan facility is from our Provident Fund, we're all wrong. The money comes from a particular facility and the Provident Fund is used as a security. According to the rules of your Provident Fund, you are only entitled to 80% of your fund credit. In other words, you can only access 80% of whatever it is that you have within your retirement pot. An example, let's say you've got 100,000 rands saved for retirement. You can only manage to access 80,000 rands. And whatever loan you take, your repayments should not exceed 40% of your net salary. It should also be calculated in such a way that by the time you get to retirement, you would have covered the whole loan. In other words, you would have settled the loan. One important thing that we also need to know is that this money is only available for housing purposes only. It will be regarded as fraud if you caught taking this money for other purposes like lobola, settling another debt or anything else. It's strictly for housing purposes only. When I talk about housing purposes, this could be purchasing a new house, renovating your existing house, and there's proof that is required by the trustees to ensure that this amount is going towards housing purposes and housing purposes alone. The housing loan facility has got one advantage amongst others, that payment is pretty much easy. Your payments are actually deducted from your salaries, hence there won't be any hassles of making constant deposits at the bank. We need to be very careful when we take out a housing loan. In other words, you need to check on your interest rates, compare them with other interest rates out there. But in most cases, your home loan facility within your fund is usually at a negotiated rate. We mentioned earlier on that you've got a group life benefit, which is your death benefit. What happens is, when you pass away, we'll pay out 2 times your annual salary plus your fund credit to your surviving beneficiaries. I'm sure once a year, we all receive beneficiary nomination forms attached to our benefit statements. The reason why we give you those forms every now and then is to ensure that if there's any change within your life or if there's any change when it comes to your beneficiaries, you just need to update it. In some instances, even if there's no change, you just need to date your beneficiary nomination form so that when your trustees are distributing your death benefits, they know that you recently looked at your form. It's also important to know that all the information that we put on our beneficiary nomination form would only be considered as a guideline for the trustees. The trustees are also guided by Section 37C on how to distribute those benefits. In most cases, what they do is, when we have a lot of children, they would most probably try by all means to ensure that the youngest child gets a bigger benefit than the rest of the older children. We must also remember that trustees have up to 12 months to distribute your death benefit. And it is very important that we Understand that the beneficiary nomination form is a private and confidential document and no one can access the information that you put in. I'm saying this because in most cases, the delays when it comes to distributing death benefits come up because we do not disclose all our children. The law states that all the children that you have should be listed within your beneficiary nomination form. In conclusion, we spoke about your Provident Fund, how it works and the benefits that it has. We also highlighted your home loan benefit, how it actually works and how you can manage to access that amount. We also spoke about your death benefit and the importance of ensuring that we update our beneficiary nomination forms. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call the number on the DVD. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.